Hello everyone, I am Surrendal Reviews and I'm back, and I'm ready to look at some more Generational Transformers. But before I get started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if I can't convince you, perhaps this picture of my kitten will convince you. And random fact about my cat society is that they randomly decided to ban ice cream for some reason. Which, actually, surprisingly enough, just makes ice cream more popular. But without further ado, let's get into this! So, the first episode we're gonna look at is Surprise Party, which is not really an episode that I actually remember that much of. I guess the Autobots are planning a surprise party for somebody, but without further ado, let's get into this! So, the episode starts with the Autobots throwing a surprise party for Spike's son Daniel. And, well, Spike has to be at a peace conference the next day, for the humans at least, and, well, the Decepticons attack and destroy the shuttle. And in the battle, Ultra Magnus manages to save Wheelie, and Wheelie feels so grateful that he wants to help Daniel throw a surprise party for Ultra Magnus, but unfortunately they don't exactly know when Ultra Magnus was born. Okay. While I'm thinking about it, I am done beating around the bush. I guess I'm just gonna talk about Wheelie. I do not like Wheelie's character. I think Wheelie is just the worst character in the entire show. I think Wheelie's voice is incredibly annoying.
Daniel, Spike's so wise! Plan this surprise!
I, really think that, Wheelie's character design looks more like it belongs in either a whole different show, or like Wheelie would probably just be more like a background character somewhere, not literally one of the main characters of the entire season. And, okay, for those people who want to say that Wheelie is like Bumblebee for Season 3, Bumblebee at least worked. I mean, Bumblebee actually managed to do stuff, and, you know, was actually a very likable character for Seasons 1 and 2. And, you know, look at how popular Bumblebee has become. And also, I think I remember why I probably forgot this episode. Probably because I was just trying to purge this episode out of my mind, because I do not like Wheelie. And also, Wheelie is quite literally voiced by Frank Welker, who, you know, voiced Megatron and Galvatron, which, okay, I guess that's pretty interesting, but, yeah, I don't really like Wheelie that much as a character, like, at all. Anyways, so Daniel and Wheelie end up asking Perceptor if he knows when Ultra Magnus was created, but unfortunately he doesn't. And they go ask this, record keeper guy here, but...
Now, what is it that you want?
We're here for information. Meet the day of Ultra Magnus's creation.
What? What's that you say? You want to know when Ultra Magnus was created?
That's right. Can you help us?
Ultra Magnus. Let me see. Now, where would that be? Oh, yes, there we are. The information you seek is not available.
What do you mean, not available?
Not available means you can't have it.
Well, why not?
Because it's on the storage asteroid.
What storage asteroid?
Oh dear, you just don't know, do you? Long ago, during a great war, the Autobots created an artificial storage asteroid. On the asteroid was data detailing the history of the Autobots to that point. Oh my. If the Autobots survived, a homing device would lead them to the asteroid. If the Autobots were destroyed, at least their history and technology would survive.
Well, was the data ever retrieved?
What? Retrieved? No, the homing device failed long ago. Technical difficulties, I suppose. Yes, technical difficulties.
Well, isn't it about time that it was retrieved?
But there's been no directive to search.
Well, what were the last known coordinates of the asteroid?
Oh, well, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to give you those. After all, you'd need a space shuttle to go there, and who would give you permission for that?
Okay, a few things about this that don't make sense. One, why would you put a bunch of your history in a single asteroid? what if, say, like, it gets destroyed or something like that? Cause, you know, I sincerely doubt that asteroids would really be very, known for staying in the same spot, and especially in, you know, a safe spot, especially if, you know, a planetary body is, like, not that far or something like that, or, you know, some pirates come by, or an outlaw group comes by and just decides, you know what, this stuff is worthless, or, you know what, just decides to take some of that stuff and sell it illegally, kind of would be, disgracing your history. 2, did none of the Autobots think to themselves that, hey, maybe some structures might, I don't know, still be hanging around, or, you know, maybe some writing documents would survive? I sincerely doubt the Decepticons would be able to destroy all the writing that the Autobots did. And 3, I'm pretty sure the Decepticons would probably, maybe, just maybe, use some Autobot technology to, you know, run their empire or something like that in the case that they win. I mean, you know, the Autobots would actually at least be a bit better about that or something like that, but hey, what do I know? I'm not leading an advanced civilization in a civil war or anything like that, so I'm not an expert at that. Anyways, so Wheelie and Daniel end up going and stealing a shuttle. But unfortunately, they have a bit of a rocky landing, and they land on the asteroid and have to deal with these weird space bleach thingies. And, well, they end up going to the cave and discovering the Autobot archive. And Spike is a little bit worried about Daniel and what he might be up to. And, well, while Wheelie and Daniel are in the Autobot Vault of Knowledge, yeah, they end up finding some robots that are none too happy that they are there, and also, yeah, they end up finding out that the Decepticons have actually been following them, and they decide to take over the place and kicked on the thrusters. And Cyclonus sends a message to Cybertron basically saying, don't try to stop us, we are trying to destroy Cybertron with this asteroid, or else we are going to hurt Wheelie and Daniel. And Ultra Magnus and Skylynx decide to ignore that and try to free Wheelie and Daniel, and also stop the asteroid. And, well, Ultra Magnus ends up defeating Cyclonus, or at least getting him to retreat, and Wheelie ends up making the asteroid self-destruct, and, well, Spike decides that that day is going to be Ultra Magnus's birthday, and the episode ends. Okay, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, this is probably my least favorite episode so far. Actually, come to think of it, I think this is probably, the one episode I actually probably hate, or at least the first one. This episode kind of feels more like it just exists because is kind of my biggest problem with it, and also this episode kind of just seems like it'd be like a small story arc, not like an entire episode. I mean, okay, listen, I'll say what I will about Sea Change. At least it had a plot to it, and at least there was something that I remember about it. This episode, I literally don't even remember a thing about it, and I just watched the episode, and I really don't think I can, name a positive about this episode that I at least remember. But I think with that, on to the next episode, which is Madman's Paradise, where Daniel is yet again with another person who he should probably not be with, or at least in this case, it is Grimlock, not Wheelie, so that's at least a plus. But without further ado, let's get into this! So the episode starts out with Daniel not really wanting to be at this ambassador meeting, and he ends up going off on his own, but Grimlock decides to follow him because, well, they both don't want to be there. And they end up finding this secret passage that leads to an entrance that would very much violate OSHA safety regulations, and it leads to this room, and Grimlock does something, and it accidentally opens up a portal to a place that is so weird Grimlock thinks it's probably California. And in this place that I'm just gonna call California for the rest of the video, well, there's a red mage here that says something about a golden horde, and how Grimlock and Daniel are in fact not part of it. Meanwhile, with Grimlock and Daniel, they have to fight these tree centaur things, and Grimlock at first does pretty well, but then he kinda starts to struggle a bit. And meanwhile, back in Cybertron, well, Carly and Spike realize that their son's gone missing and is probably with Grimlock, meaning that this is the second time that they have left their son with somebody who probably they shouldn't have. Meanwhile, with Daniel and Grimlock, well, they end up getting saved by the Red Mage, who actually, as it turns out, is the Red Wizard. And he ends up taking them into his castle. And he gives a pretty, mixed signals backstory as to who he is.
Long ago, the Red Wizard fell from the sky through a strange red circle.
That's how we got here.
Of course, he was not really a wizard then, merely a dabbler. He was taught his craft by the former ruler of Mononia, the Golden One. Indeed, he was the master's favorite pupil, always impressing the Golden One with some remarkable new skill. But one terrible day, tragedy struck. The Golden One vanished mysteriously. There was only one thing the Red Wizard could do: rule Mononia in the Golden One's place. The wizard brought centuries of prosperity and peace to our land, yet some were jealous of his power. And so the attacks began. Malcontents of all Mononia's races joined forces to seize the throne for themselves. You, mighty Grimlock, could help the Red Wizard to preserve the kingdom and protect his people.
You know, I really don't know how office pranks work for, this dimension in, California, as I'll still keep calling it, but, I really don't think whoever did that's gonna be keeping their job for very long, or, you know, keeping their life at all, because, yeah, I think that's kind of giving me a bit mixed signals, and I get the feeling like, Red Wizard guy is a little evil, and like there might be something up with him. Anyways, so the Red Wizard ends up having Daniel sent to this place that looks suspiciously like a dungeon, and he has Grimlock defend the castle in California from, well, the Golden Horde's armies. And meanwhile, with, the Autobots back on Cybertron, they end up discovering what that portal room actually was.
Incredible! This chamber was used to dispose of Quintesson criminals.
Dispose of them? How?
Basically, they chucked them into other dimensions.
What? What other dimensions?
Name it. Al-Badur here was sent to an ice world. They flushed Murdane to a place with no physical substance.
But where's Daniel?
Best guess, Mononia, where the Quintessons dumped Mara al-Utha, convicted of practicing sorcery.
Then that's where we're going as well.
Okay, I'll say this about this, concept of, that secret room being a Quintesson prison for Quintesson criminals. I think that is a really interesting concept, and I think that it's very well done here. I mean, with the other places, one of them being very, very cold, and one of them basically having no real matter, I think that it kind of is a bit of a what did these people do to end up in those places, and I think that, that one Quintesson criminal who basically was sent to California, I think that, it actually is probably either going to be kind of ironic and a bit of a paradise, but kind of also like hell for them because of one reason or another. And I think that this concept is surprisingly enough something that isn't really explored, and I think a lot of entertainment, not just Transformers, really should actually explore this here, because this is actually a pretty neat concept if you think about it. Anyways, so Grimlock is actually doing a pretty good job of fending off the attackers, and the other Autobots end up arriving to actually really drive off the attackers. And unfortunately, Daniel finds out that the Red Wizard is actually evil, like we couldn't figure that out, and this guy who looks like the Red Wizard but isn't the Red Wizard knows where the Golden One is, and also, they end up actually getting free and going to where the Golden One is, and the Rhino Autobot, I forgot his name, actually ends up freeing the Golden One, and he, turns into a dragon. And the Golden One is actually, unfortunately, pretty drained, and the Red Wizard is actually revealed to be a Quintesson. But luckily, with the help of Blaster, the Golden One is able to defeat the Red Wizard and free California from his tyrannical rule, and well, the Autobots end up getting back to Cybertron and the episode ends. Okay, I'll be honest, when I first watched this episode, and when I watched this episode a few years back, I did not remember this episode being as good as it was. I actually didn't really remember this episode, but upon rewatching it, I will say that this episode's good. I really like the idea of Quintesson prisons for Quintesson criminals, and how they're basically sent to a dimension where they kind of might be in a place where it's either both paradise or kind of hell, or kind of both, I should say. And I really like how the Autobots were at first tricked into fighting for the wrong side, and how they were tricked into fighting for the oppressors, which I guess current events actually kind of hits weirdly close to home. And also, I really like how, basically, the, Red Wizard kind of at first seems like he might be a bit of a good guy, or at least how he's kind of played off as a good guy, but you can actually see that he's, kind of full of it. And I will say that I recommend this episode. I thought this episode was really good, and I'm surprised that they didn't, take this concept further. I think that this concept is really interesting and really well done in this episode, and I wish we got to see more of these Quintesson criminals and what they did. But I think with that, that's gonna do it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.